Are we live?
Yes, now it's live.
All right.
And it's recording automatically. How amazing is that?
That's technology, eh?
Yeah. I'm curious if we can see when people are joining, dropping in.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. People, can you post the comments to let us know when you join, if you can hear us correctly, where you come from?
Let us know if you're here. Come and say hi. Don't be shy.
Don't say hi. Don't be shy. That's a good one.
But yeah. Yeah, how do we know if anyone's on right now?
Yeah, be friendly, please. Ask questions. Oh, I'm just finding out that I could have customized, the branding and so on of the.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Like putting a little coming in hot logo because we're coming in hot.
Yeah, coming in hot.
Yeah, coming in hot. What's the title of this film? I can make so many puns. It's like should be illegal.
Yeah.
How's everyone?
So can you see from your end people that are joining in?
I don't see anywhere.
There is a number. There's 5 people.
Oh, 5 people?
Oh, I see it. There's 4 people on Periscope.
Yes,
3 people on Periscope. 1 on my Facebook. Oh, okay, that's how you can tell. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Well, hi.
Hey, people. What's going on?
I'm trying to see if we can put like a little coming hot logo. It's loading. Awesome. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah.
Are we live?
16 days. It's actually 16 days left.
It's recording automatically. How amazing is that?
That's technology.
Why are we hearing ourselves again?
I'm going to stop touching things because I feel like I'm messing things up. I'm just going to talk. I'm not that good with technology just yet. So
no worries. Where do you see like a number where people are?
You see the squares that we're on top. It says live, right?
Oh, yeah.
And next to it, there's an eye with some numbers. There's 2 people.
Got it. Awesome. Well, let's go. 2 people. Yeah, that's nice and cozy. Grab like a nice cup of coffee and like a cup of tea, like any warm beverage or boozy beverage if that's your thing, and just get settled, like get comfortable, like we're just starting. Awesome.
Little intimate setting.
Yes, it's nicer. Thanks to the beauty of the internet.
Oh yeah.
I am Adriana Vecchioli. I am the writer, director, and actress of Coming in Hot, and I am with Eric Kole.
Hi, I'm Eric Kole. I'm also a writer, director, and actor. And we're going to talk about films and making films and
finding the money to make films.
Yeah. So yeah. But hey, by the way, you're doing really well with your campaign. Like you've managed to raise a considerable amount of your target already.
Yeah, it's funny because like me, I'm on the other side. It's about the glass half full and half empty. So it's been a little over 2 weeks. So we're in the 3rd weeks and we are just under 70%. But we've got like I think 23,000. Like all the numbers are getting mixed up. But in my mind, I'm thinking of like 30% left. Like by the end of the 1st week, I was under 30%. So maybe I won't reach my goal and so on. I'm just like, I feel like a hamster in the inside the wheel. And it feels pretty scary. But I was told that also in the final 48 hours, you get like a shower, because like there's a lot of procrastinators and the urgency of the campaign finishing. So by the way, how much, like, how was it for you? Like so you had like a 4 weeks campaign, like a 30 days campaign?
Yeah, 4 weeks. 20. It was literally the month of February, so 28 days. And I think there was something similar, like to what you've been told. First week is we had a big rush, especially coming up to the first week, and then another big rush in the last few days in the last week. So I think, and it's, I think people do say that, and I think it's been true for me that you'll get a lot of your backing, at the very start and at the very end. Which happened for us, and then everything else would just be spread out throughout the entirety of the campaign.
So for me, something else that really helped was the momentum. Was like during the second week we had like a matching donor. So to give some context, we launched Tuesday the first week, and during the weekend we had like a private backer saying like, look, I wanna donate like a significant amount, like 2,500, but let's work for it. So hence the idea of like, if we have 50 backers by the end of the second week, then we would unlock this additional funding. And the idea, like we've seen a lot of like matching campaigns, for everybody that donates, somebody else will match, like up to a certain amount. But the idea of like talking about backers' numbers rather than the amounts, you really know the success of a project through the number of people who are supporting it. And even if they're putting, $1, $5, $10, rather than having someone dropping $200, the thing is like $10 is the cost of a movie ticket.
Yeah.
So that was like a better, a better number to kind of like assess the viability of a project. And at the same time, for us, it worked. It worked better because like a lot of the, I was expecting to see a lot of like small donations coming in, to help reach this target and so on. But some of them were actually had like very significant amounts. So I would say, like, I think, it almost doubled the amount of the first week.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. And like also when it comes to communicating, it really convey like an urgency, but without being begging, without being needy, and also like it's communicating like a certain success of the campaign if it's able to get this kind of attention.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a correlation. I'm not going to say causation, but a correlation between the number of eyes, and maybe even not eyes, but engagement, like that you can get, the amount of people you can get engaged in your project, whether it is by backing it or by talking about it or by sharing something, with how successful it is likely to be. Because when you look at films, there is an effort that needs to be made to watch a film. Even though it's minimal, it's still something that people don't have to do. Like, whether it is to get up, get in the car, drive to the cinema, pay for a cinema ticket, or to actually, stop whatever you're doing, whether you're cooking, whether you're studying, whether you're doing a bit of, you're doing a drawing, to stop what you're doing to go sit in front of the TV and intentionally pick what you're going to watch. There is something that people don't have to do. So if you then have any indication of people then doing something that they don't have to do, it just shows a certain commitment to what it is they're trying to engage with, whether it is trying to watch something or trying to support something. And the number of people that actually, get out of their way to watch or find, show some interest in what you're doing is a very good way to measure how, like you said, the viability of a project, how interested people are or could be, how likely it is to be watched by people once it's made. Yeah.
Even just opening your page and taking the time to like watch your pitch video, for instance. And I think also like sharing on social media, like for instance, a lot of people, don't really feel comfortable about donating money, and like it's not our place to like judge people's financial situation or like feel that they have to justify. So for me, like I always ask if people can share on social media, because that's a way to help for free financially, but it's not that free because it's also an effort, and that's also putting your endorsement of the publicly of the project. So I'm always very grateful when people do that. And something that this crowdfunding journey is really teaching me is first gratitude, but also there's like so many ways to support. Just even being there when we have questions and like bouncing some ideas, like just giving this kind of attention to someone is a way to support. And in order to succeed, we need to know how to receive and welcome all sources of support, rather than being stuck on a certain type.
Yeah, and I think being open to all sources of support, I think, is something that's quite important, because it's very easy. I mean, I know it was the case for me before this campaign, like a few years ago. It's very easy to, you've got a goal, a dream, or something you're trying to achieve, and you look at someone else that's achieved it, and then you try to look at, okay, how did they achieve it? They did this, they went to A, and then they did B in order to, and they skipped C and then did D, and then that's how they achieved it. And then it's very easy to get stuck into, I want to achieve the same thing.
Yeah.
Therefore, I will do nothing other than going to A, then go to B, skip C, and go D. When in fact, there could be other things you could be doing to get to your goal.
Yeah.
But you're just stuck on what the other person did, or someone else has already done it. You're trying to do everything they did the same way, and then which closes your mind to, because for a long time I was pretty closed-minded about crowdfunding. Just didn't want to do it. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's not for me. It kind of, I thought it had a negative connotation, so it took me ages to actually open my mind up to actually doing the crowdfunding, because I was like, somehow I felt like, oh, I'm not legit if I get my money through. And then the thing is, it's like, if anything, I think I'm not going to say you're more legit, but your project has, that people are interested in your project.
Yes.
So it kind of legitimizes your own.
It's proof. It's social. It's a very solid social proof. So actually, so for me, I felt something similar. Like I was like, I don't want to do crowdfunding. You'll catch me dead before I go publicly asking for money. And but then I had this idea of this short film, and short films are really hard to monetize. So just from that reason, you're very unlikely to get funding from like regular sources. I mean, production companies and so on, unless there's like product placement and some kind of advertising, which I knew I did not want it to do. And this coming in hot short film is way too expensive to be self-funded, or just pulling from like friends and family. We have like car chase in the desert. At some point, like the car goes under the water, so like a lot of like technical challenges that cost money. And the thing, so crowdfunding started being like, well, if all else fail, I'll do a crowdfunding campaign. But that still was not something I wanted to do. And in the end, it became something I wanted to do when I realized that the crowdfunding campaign would be something that would build an audience before the film is even being made. Because 2 years ago, I made my very first short film, like my very first cinematic short film, because I did a lot of stuff before that I didn't necessarily share, named How Far. And when it came out, like for me, that was a freaking accomplishment. And I wanted to tell the world. But the rest of the world didn't know I had been working, busting my butt on this for 9 months. It was like, oh, cool, Adriana did a thing. Maybe we'll click. And I understand it's the same when, when my friends come out with have new projects coming out. I'm like, oh, cool, a new link to click on. you're not really aware of all the work. So
Yeah.
I thought, and there was only my best friends and family who kind of like had followed the journey along. So I thought for my next project, I need to build momentum as the project grows, but in a way that doesn't spoil it,
Yeah.
So, for instance, I've been sharing a lot of the filmmaking journey on Instagram and my stories as we go. Like, for instance, when I go to the desert to scout locations, like I broadcast some of it, but I'm being very careful about what are the elements of the story that I want to share a lot about, and what are those that I'm keeping, secret for now, or like fresh, so that when the film is finished, it's like surprised.
Yeah, and I think there's something that's quite. One of the things that I feel like I've learned from that I'm very grateful for from doing the crowdfunding is this element of engaging your audience, especially for a short film, engaging the audience before the film is made. I think a lot of times it's something that I see a lot with short films. We make the short, we work so hard on creating the best story we can, the most compelling story that we can, and sort of expect that the story is going to engage the audience. But the thing is, the audience need to. There's a choice that needs to be made. It's like, am I going to play it? Am I going to click on that link? Yeah. Am I going to press play? So they need to be engaged before that. And if in the crowdfunding campaign was a massive lesson in engage. It's kind of what they do with blockbuster films and TV shows, and it happens all the way around. I don't know why. I mean, for me, I felt like, with a short film, I just share my short film before a short film, and then people will go watch it. But it's like, no, even big films, and they first of all they release like first look images, and then a month later there's like, the trailer. And then there's a trailer, and then there's a second trailer, and then there's a bunch of like press junkets where the cast and the directors go like appear on this TV show or appear on like do an interview in this magazine and all of that. And it's like constantly, bringing like more content that's related to the film you're making. But it's also interesting and different to engage the audience before they actually, have to make the choice of, okay, am I going to watch this? And I feel like the crowdfunding campaign has taught me the importance of that, because with a lot of, the original backers were pretty much people I knew or I'd worked with, I reached out to, and they already knew me. They already had some they were already invested in me. Yeah. But then after that, when you're trying to reach out to people that are not as invested, it's this thing where it's like I'm posting for a while, and then they see one thing, and then they see something else, and they see something else, and then little by little, they get to know what I'm doing, and they get to see a glimpse of this and this, and then eventually they're like, okay, cool, this is interesting. Let's click on the link. Let's see what I can do. And it's like this gradual process, and it's I guess it's what big companies do with PR. It's what they do with advertising. It's what they do with you've got to engage. Just having your product there, your film or whatever it is there, and be like, oh, it's there, and I'll just wait for people to come.
So I was also, I felt something similar. When they say build it and they will come. Bullshit. Yeah. Complete bullshit. Like build it and then you'll still have to, tell everybody that they can come. And so for me, I was, looking at different communication recommendations and so on, and I was pretty shy. I didn't want it to spam people. When people were saying, email your community twice the first week or 3 times the first week, I was like, wow, like I don't want to spam. I don't want to post so much on social media. And so at first I was, I was communicating a lot according to me, but I was dragging my feet a little bit. And, some people complain that they were not interested in the project and so on. And fine, those people are never going to be my supporters anyway. So, no loss. It hurts your ego a little bit, but you haven't, when those people tune out, you really haven't lost anything or anyone. Yeah. And then the people around me who felt emotionally invested in the process, who were not my best friends, because my best friend hear about it on a daily basis. They were, we wanna have more updates. Don't be shy in communicating. Are you, do you have like a newsletter? And I was like, oh, I do, but I didn't add it on the list because I didn't want it to bother you. And my mindset shifted and was like, all right, everybody can opt out, everybody can subscribe, unsubscribe. So from now on, I'm going to communicate like on a daily or every 2 days. And that has really, changed my mindset and made me, more open in communicating and receiving and all of that. And that had given a boost to my campaign.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, it's really about, sorry, I cut you. It's really, like not being shy, because one, the people around you do not see as many posts, as you see, because for you, it's all around. When you send an email to like 1,000 people, that feels scary. But on the other side, for those people, it's one email amongst 20 that they receive that day. And, opening the email is already kind of like an act of goodwill. And then it's really, I really saw like people start seeing little posts here and there, like they like maybe their friend posts something, and it starts connecting. And they do really need to have like different points of contact, start being interested. One day you post about something about the story, another time about like why the story is important for you, and another time about like how you're making the story, and it's showing different lights about it.
It's there was this rule, I can't remember who told me about it, but then my sister sort of confirmed it to me, because my sister studied marketing. I can't remember the name, so I'm gonna butcher whatever it actually is, and the name I'm gonna say is probably not gonna be right. So but I'm just trying to explain the spirit of it. I'm very, very loose and very vaguely, but it's something about the rule of 6 or something like that. And it was basically saying that, it will take probably 6 points of contact for like anyone before they consider, buying or consuming or experiencing what it is you've got to give or to sell or to, to push. And then they explained it to me in a sense that, like you'll wake up in the morning, you'll look at your Facebook, you'll scroll, and you'll find an advert for McDonald's. You might not even stop on it for more than 2 seconds, but you'll see that yellow M. Then you get up, try to go to work, you go to the bus stop, wait for the bus, and there's a big advert on the bus stop for McDonald's. You see people being happy, and then you see that M again. And then, you're driving, you're on the bus going to work, and then you walk past an actual McDonald's and there's an actual M, and after 6 times of seeing that M, like subconsciously, you'll actually consider, it might be that at lunchtime, you're hungry, and then you're thinking of options because you've seen that thing 6 times recently. McDonald's will be an option. You might not choose it. You might not be, I love McDonald's, but it will be one of the options that goes through your brain because, it becomes a consideration. And I feel like, with something like this, I feel like it works with everything. With something like this, it's pretty useful. You keep on posting stuff and hopefully post about the same thing, but post different things so people don't get bored kind of stuff. It's like
angles.
Balance. Yeah. Which is tricky, which I think, people like, I was trying to do it, and I realized, okay, I want to post something, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do that's going to be different, because I don't want to post exactly the same thing because people will get bored. But I want to post something that relates to the film. And it took me ages to find ways to and it's so much work. And I think some people, it's their job. They'll come up with ideas just like this, but it's part of what I guess it's part of the work of raising money. And I think more than just crowdfunding a film, it's part of the work of letting people know about your project, getting people interested about your project before they can go ahead and see it, so they can actually be at least curious enough to want to see what it's about, kind of stuff. Yeah.
Also, people people who are invested in your project like are invested for different reasons.
Yeah.
For me, for Coming in Hot, some people like that it's like a woman-driven project. Some others, they
Literally.
what?
Literally woman-driven, female-driven project.
Literally, it's it's about a woman driving a car, which is a terrible log line. No, it's about a woman like escaping her reality by taking this crazy car in the desert. And some others, they really don't care about that, like being woke or whatever. It's like, oh, the story sounds fun. Or others like, this project sounds visually interesting. So me, sometimes by like not restricting myself into a certain way to communicate about the project, like sometimes being like, these are the inspirations that I had from my films, like other films that I love, like Thelma and Louise, Death Proof, Tarantino, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, like The Love Witch. It's, that's one way to, let's say, connect with the people who love those films too. Being like, oh, I this film really intrigued me. This one looks interesting. And it's basically like a way to invite different type of audiences beyond what you expected. Like, for instance, for me, I was thinking like, well, this is a movie made by women for women, so I assume my most of my audience would be female. And when I saw among the early backers that were not my close friends and family, so people who were drawn to the projects, there was a lot of men. Like, there were maybe like more than 50%. So I thought, yeah, well, the themes, do not need to be closed, exclusive to a certain demographic. And rather than excluding, it's more having different selling points for different groups, for different different people, without alienating, excluding others.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, the more sort of different demographics you can sort of hit with your project, the more chances of success you'll have, because you can. I mean, the closer you get to having a blockbuster on your hands, and I mean that I don't mean that in terms of themes, but I mean that in literally something that if you were to release it, it would the box office kind of stuff, because so many people would go to watch it, which I think in a sense that's what blockbusters sort of aim to do. They try to get as wide as possible by trying to hit certain, have something that everyone will be happy with, like have something that the kids will be able to watch, and have some more intellectual or more adult humor in it that won't necessarily affect the younger ones, and have something a little bit cool for the teenagers, and they try to hit everything to make sure they get as many people in. So
it's like having a big hearty meal. There's a little bit for everyone. There's like word for the sweet tooth. There's a salad that's just not a sad little side for the vegan one. Big juicy steak for the protein lovers. All of that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Do you wanna tell us more about the first time I'd never met you, and kind of like your process in making the film? Before and after the campaign, all of that.
All right. So so the first time I ever met you is a little sci-fi drama short film about a scientist, wait, hang on, I forgot. What? I said this so many times. I used to roll off the tip of my tongue. I was ready for those pictures, and now it's just been a while. It's like, so it's okay. It's a film about a grieving scientist who rewinds time to reunite with his late wife. But can she fall in love with the man that he no longer is? That's kind of like the whole the whole setup for it. I mean, how the film came up, it was, you know, relationship. Well, yeah, a relationship ended, and it was this thing where I was like really like sort of looking at how I was processing this, and you know, I found myself doing a lot of, oh wait, if she's ended it now, does that mean that that nice little moment we had 2 months ago was fake? Does that mean that that wasn't real? And then if she said that she's not interested, does that mean that when she was talking about the future together, she was just, it was not real? And then all these little things, talking about a future together, talking about and all these like nice moments, were like things that sort of made me grow as a person, things that were so valuable to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this thing where I was like, okay, now that it's finished, if I keep on rethinking and re-editing those memories that were positive memories and that were like, that contributed to some personal growth for me as well. If I keep on questioning those memories and kind of editing those memories, does the effect of those memories change? Instead of, does my personal growth that came from that, does that then become not growth? Does it become something else? And, you know, it really made me wonder about, you know, how we sort of, you know, revisiting certain memories to try to negotiate with something traumatic that's, well, not traumatic, well, I'm not going to
painful
war, but, you know, emotionally challenging stuff. Does that, you know, change who you are now and what you have and all the benefit, all the good things that you've got now from having been in that relationship, whether it's ended or not? Do those good things sort of get written off, kind of stuff? And so I was kind of fascinated with that, and I was trying to play around with the story of like someone who, you know, saw like he can't accept the loss of someone that he literally tries to negotiate with time and history, but there is a cost, kind of stuff. You try to go back to change certain things because you can't accept your grief and your loss. There is a trade-off, kind of. That's why.
It's interesting. I mean, you must have heard about the 6 stages of grief.
Yeah.
Bargaining is one of them, you know, trying to negotiate with reality. I think it's interesting because in the real life event that you're talking to, it's about a breakup. So it's about, you know, like the will of, you know, like the you know, like, intentional decisions of people that can like go against what you want and you desire. And in your film, you pick like the death of the wife, and death is, I mean, I don't know, I haven't read the script, most of the time unintentional. Maybe I'm spoiling something, but
I mean, you're not. I mean, you're not really spoiling anything, but there is some intentionality that comes into play that is part of the reason why this guy like is struggling to accept it. Kind of stuff. But it's I'm not going to say more because it might might be giving too much away, because it's a very short film. I mean, it's like, it's going to be 12 minutes, I think, between 10 and 12 minutes. So it's there, and I think the fact that there is something intentional in how things transpire, it like contributes to it being very so hard to accept for this character, and being in the stage where he's constantly trying to bargain with with time.
I see. So where are you now in the process?
We're still in pre-production. We've had to delay. Like literally after the crowdfunding campaign, like a lot of the industry started to open up again. So a lot of work sort of came through. And so I got stuck on some projects, but at the same time, it kind of worked out, because one of the worries, well, not so much worries, but one of the things that we knew we had to sort of take into consideration and sort of work around was all the COVID restrictions. And it was, I mean, it's new. Anyone that's shooting at the moment, COVID is very new to them. And it was one of those where I was like, okay, whatever energy we need to put into making things safe and follow the restrictions, like we'll do it. But that's energy that won't be there for the creative process. Not that it's going to take all the energy, but I'd rather put 100% in creative if I can, and even if I have to put 10% into 10% of the energy of the collective crew into making things safe, I'm still left with 90%, whereas having 100% would still be better, kind of stuff. So when all that work came through, I was like, wait, okay, we could either rush and try to film it before I go off on these jobs, but then rushing things, never, I don't know if it was a good call, or we could wait till I'm done with those projects. And my cinematographer managed to get a pretty big project as well. We could wait till that's done. At which point, restrictions will be a lot less strict. So there'll be a lot less energy that we have to put on restrictions. I'm assuming, and we don't know yet, but I'm hoping that a much bigger proportion of the population will be vaccinated as well, which means that there's less risk, there's less inherent risk in us trying to make this project. So then we can focus a lot more energy and maybe try to rearrange some of the budget that was going to be for extra time or safety measures. We can redirect some of that budget if the conditions are right towards more of the creative stuff to really help us make the best film that we can. So yeah, it's been delayed because of all these reasons, like these jobs.
It's been matured.
Again?
It's been matured, Just take more time to stay warming up and bubbling in the cauldron.
And I think also it's and I do think it's going to work out. Well, I hope, touch wood, it's going to work out for the best, because it's also like during the pandemic, a lot of I live in London. A lot of people left London to go with their families or to go with their loved ones, and now we're starting to see more people and more talent sort of come back to town. So it's like, when it's going to come to getting the rest of the crew, there's some people that I've worked with before that I want to work with again are now back in London. If we would have shot straight after, in March, for example, some people wouldn't have been in London, and it's like, okay, cool. Now, can we find someone else? Where do we find them? Do we know them? Who do we ask? Do we look on, databases? And it's like an extra process than, and I think, once, if we do it when most of my key team is sort of back in London, then I feel like by then it'll be a much more friendly sort of environment to create something special.
You're touching on a point that's, I think, very important in the filmmaking journey, is time and taking one's time, because it's very tempting to rush, and we receive a lot of messages and signals that are an invitation to rushing. But I feel that goes against the essence of filmmaking, because filmmaking is a collaborative process. It's not like something like painting, like I paint, you can see the snake behind me. And painting, you can do it on your own without anybody else. Painting, you can rush it and it may look good if it works, for the piece, or you can painstakingly really take your time. But when it comes to film, there are so many different skills that are needed, that when a part of the film is rushed and not well done, let's say, for instance, sound, it tanks the rest. And I feel like the level of a film is kind of like at the lowest level that a part of your film will be. Like if the locations are great, the story is great, but the acting is a little, meh, like people won't be, but the locations were really nice, And for my first film, How Far, I was, so excited about it. I yielded to the temptation to rush many times. And, also, it's a bit like of the naivete of somebody who's entering in the film. Like you think like, this is going to be big. Like the big pearly gates of Hollywood are going to swing right open after my film comes out. And you just can't wait to be on the other side and being, invited into the like with the happy few. And I remember, for instance, when the film was reaching completion in post-production, I started submitting it to festivals, even though, like it just needed a little bit of to tweak the color and the sound mix. You still had 80% of the film. And now looking back, rushing with festival submission, one, cost a lot of money, whereas if you wait for the early birds and so on, your dollar goes much further. Two, you know in your mind what the finished product will be, but the other people, they don't. So even if the cut is done, those 20% that are remaining, the color, like the music and so on, really, like sometimes they can be 80%. Like I remember, for instance, when we really nail like the music. So before we had the music, I was happy with my short film. It was like a pretty good short film, like quality. And then when we added the different tracks, it just elevated. And for instance, some of the acting performance, they felt that they were getting more layered because the music was kind of like echoing certain parts and adding, different elements. And I showed to some friends, before the music and after, and some friends were like, wow, it's crazy how just one track can almost make it a different film. And so for me now, I'm really thinking, let's create a jewel, let's spend time polishing this tone, this pebble that I had, and like turn it into a diamond, turn it into something that everybody involved in the project will be proud of, will want to attach their name on it, will be willing to share it with everyone. Will like, look what we made. And in the end, whether it takes 3 months or 2 years, nobody remembers how long it took. I mean, as long as it's not like, like an eternity, nobody will be like, oh yeah, but it took her 9 months to edit the film or something like that.
Yeah.
I think in the end, during the process, people complain that it's taking too long, but once it's done, nobody, people forget.
Totally. Yeah. It's I think, like you said, you have to take, it's hard to bargain with time.
Absolutely.
It's hard to bargain with time, and some things take certain time. If you want to rush things, you kind of have to understand that there's gonna be a trade-off.
Yeah.
So you gotta, it's knowing what's more important to you as a creator.
Yeah.
Having something done right or having something done and out there.
But also something is hard is we talked a lot about content creation. And filmmakers are compared a lot with influencers, social media creators, and so on. And yeah, there's a lot in common. We're using video as our main medium. But for instance, for me, I try to be very conscious about not using the word content. And instead I use cinema, film, movie, all of that to keep it separate. It's not to dunk shade on content creators. But for me, the essence is that content creation works with algorithm. So you have to drop. It's all about, being in the moment, dropping content, being time relevant, and ship. So that's why, selfie photos, all of that, it works because it's very timely. But filmmaking, it's about taking your time and hopefully make something that can pass the test of time. And even though the skills might feel similar, to me, I try to not yield to the sirens of content creation and, sometimes, like goodwill advice that people want to tell you, but.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the thing with advice, especially when, I'm not saying like, I think like most advice is probably valid.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times people give advice without, actually, I'm not going to say a lot of times because I don't know how many times people in the world do it. I'm just talking from my own personal experience. Like in my own personal experience, sometimes I encounter a lot of advice that is good advice, but is missing the context of your own situation, in which case that advice doesn't fully apply because they don't understand sort of
Your
the context
angles.
and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of like someone saying, like, you know, if you know there's a cliff, if you want to get from one side to the other side, just cross the bridge. But they're not aware that the bridge that's in front of you specifically has a few slats missing and there are crocodiles down below. In which case, it's like, you know, is getting to the other side worth your life? If it's not, then don't cross the bridge. But if it would be any other bridge, then yeah, the advice would be great. But it's like, you know, sometimes you get people that give you great advice, but it's not catered to your specific situation. And it's this thing of like, you know, I'm pretty sure some people will say, yeah, create content and post stuff there and there. But it's like, that makes sense for a certain sort of thing, certain perspective. And I'm pretty sure that for some people, the advice of making a film quickly, even if it's not the best film, just making a film is valid in some situations. But some people would rather make a good film than just make 3, 4, 5 film in a row. Because I mean, if you
it's a lot of money, it's a lot of effort.
Yeah, and depending on where you're trying to go in life and in, you know, in content, you know, it's one of these things. Like if you wanna get signed to, if you're a director that wants to get signed to a production company or director's agency to make music videos, then I could understand the advice of just make loads of music videos, just make a lot of them. But if you're trying to win an Oscar, then that advice of making loads of music videos doesn't really apply. Just make narrative films and tell the story well.
Yeah, I would mitigate that though, because I'm a perfectionist and I'm the kind of person who wait to jump till everything is perfect. And at some point you just gotta jump. And even if your first film is, let's say, subjectively bad, it's still like a huge learning experience. And, you know, maybe this bad first film may be the gateway towards a good second film. And sometimes sometimes for certain people in their journey, it would have been hard to jump straight to the good. But on the question of feedback and advice, I think something like I've learned for me is like people give advice based on what their definition of success is. And sometimes their definition of success is not the same as yours. For instance, what would you like to be, you know, like commercially successful doing blockbusters, or, you know, more like you'd like to be a successful actor on Broadway with great, you know, getting awards and, you know, great reviews from the critics. And those are two successful actors, very different forms of success and very different ways to get where they want to go. And when I started, I was kind of like sending my stuff to everybody for feedback. But I realized afterwards, it's not feedback that I wanted. It was encouragement, like approval. And now I'm being extremely careful and selective when I ask for feedback, especially when I was writing the script for Coming in Hot. I did not want this story to be influenced by certain energies that I felt like were not part of the story, or to kind of like derail from my own specificity in the essence of the story. Because I felt that in past films that I've done, I was eager to please as many people as possible. And sometimes I water down certain elements of the story. So when I asked, first I was very intentional with who I was asking feedback. Most likely writers, people who were already working in the industry and therefore knew about, not armchair experts. Sometimes and for specific reasons, like I would say, look, you've had this experience in your life that I haven't. I'd be very interested, from your feedback, like in light of that unique perspective that you have. Or I asked a very achieved writer for their feedback, and I felt like I did not need feedback about the plot because I was feeling very good about the plot of my story. That being said, at the time, I was not feeling so great about the dialogues, and they didn't sound so natural and juicy. So I asked that person, was like, specifically for the feedback about about the dialogues and so on, because it's easy to be stuck into that people pleasing trap.
Yeah.
And lose kind of like track of like where you're going.
Yeah. Hang on, just give me 1 second. I'm just gonna move position because my battery's dying.
Oh, no worries.
My charger's on the other corner, so I'm just gonna head over there so I can make sure the laptop doesn't die off. Yeah, but it's like I get what you're saying. It's like kind of about their own people. Yeah, give advice based on their own definition of.
And also sometimes what they want for you, like for instance, for me, 5 years ago, I was working as an engineer for a software company, Twitter. And for a lot of people, they were very happy that I was working there because it was a sign of success. And that was like a great experience, a great job. But in the end, I felt like that wasn't the life I was looking for. Like I was more looking to live as an artist. And that incurs a lot of risk and instability and so on. And 5 years down the road, I feel that it's a harder life, but my choice has been confirmed. And often I notice that when I speak like with very close people who feel that they understand where I come from, I can feel that they haven't really come to terms that I have let go of an amazing situation for something that hasn't really paid off yet from their point of view. And so sometimes, I'm talking about crowdfunding and so on, and they're like, how about, you take a full-time job and, like fund your film with your disposable income. And I'm thinking, if I take a full-time job that's not in this industry, I will not be learning, I will not be improving my craft. So, but it's always a well-intentioned advice.
It often comes from a good place, and I think that's this thing. It's like the perspective. It's advice that's missing the perspective of your specific situation. But yes, I mean, we still have to navigate through it to get to.
It's about communication. And I feel it's like the more specific that, and also during those conversations, we find out what we do want and so on. And, it's about being grateful from the person taking the time to hear you and provide, their attention and feedback. But the more specific you can be, because whether you're looking for artistic freedom or stability, like these two are hard to marry together. I don't think it's impossible, and we shouldn't say it's impossible. That's the goal. But it's good to know at like a given moment, which one will you prioritize? And it's fine. It's fine to go for stability. There were moments where I needed a certain safety because it was just too much to handle. And it was also affecting my creativity. But this kind of like specificity.
Yeah, and it helps you know yourself as well. It helps you know what's more important to you, and it helps you. The more you know yourself, the better you will be at creating art that is meaningful. So, yeah.
So it's been almost an hour. Wow, time flies. Eric, do you have? Is there anything else you'd like to add? And then I have one final question that I like to ask everyone, which would be, what advice would you give to your younger self? in this journey?
Are you asking that to everyone, or are you asking that to me?
Like to you, but I like to ask that question to everyone.
Okay. All right. I see what you said. Okay. What advice would I give to my younger self? It's very hard because there are certain lessons that I've learned in life that I'm glad I've learned, but I'm also aware that if those same lessons would have happened earlier in life when I wasn't ready to have those lessons, it would have been wasted on me. And it's just like if I go 10 years back in time to talk to my younger self and be like, okay, do this or be more like this, my younger self is not going to listen. I know what I was like. I'm not going to listen to that stuff. And if anything, if I hear that stuff and someone's telling me I should be, even if it's my future self, I should be a certain way, now I know, I'll be like, nah, I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna go the extra mile to not do that or to not be like that, which means that when the lesson finally comes, I won't even be, it's not that I won't be ready. I'll just see the lesson coming and I'll be like, no, I'm going the other way, kind of stuff. So it'll be a tricky one, but I don't know. I think, a good thing, I mean, a lesson that something I'm glad I've finally learned in life is to know yourself and know what you want.
Yeah.
Understand precisely what you want. Like a lot of times people will say, I just want to be happy. That's vague and that's very hard to act upon. But now I'm like, if I'm going to be happy, it's like, oh, what makes me happy? What do I need to have those things to make me happy? And what makes it? Then once I know that, everything else that I'll do will be, I'll be able to tell, okay, if I do this thing, that's going to jeopardize me being able to get the thing that will make me happy, or that's going to make it more likely. And then it's easier to decide what I want to do. It's easier to decide where I'm going to go. I'm not wasting time. I'm not, it's like, it's one of these things where it's like, a lot of times you get people that stay in jobs that they don't want. And the thing is, it's like, if you break down, like, why do you work a job? If the reason is to keep a roof over your head, then there's a lot of jobs you could do.
Yeah.
They'll pay you money. Then you might be able to find something that makes you happier. Now, if the reason that, I don't know, if you're, you work at if you work in an airline because you like to see different places, but you're not happy in the job, but you still want to see different places and you want to find something else. If you know that that's what makes you happy, to see different places, then you know where to look next. But if you just know that, oh, I'm not happy, I just want to be happy, but you're not sure, you're not specific with yourself about what it is that makes you happy, you're going to spend so much time looking everywhere, looking under every rock. Is my happiness here? No. Is my happiness there? No. Is my happiness there? No. Is it? And by the time you realize, oh, my happiness is there, your life has already gone by. I mean, you'll still be happy to find it, but it's like by being specific, you save so much more time. And it's so important to be specific with yourself about what you want, how you want it, what will it take to get what it is you want. And
because happiness is a byproduct of everything else. It's not the goal. Like, for instance, like, I don't wake up and like, oh, I'm happy. I'm happy because I feel good about my life. Because today I'm going to meet my friend. I'm happy because, I love my family and I feel good with them. So it's thinking of, work, purpose, relationships, all those things that create happiness. Like, I love food, for instance, and I love, if I'm having like a huge dessert or something, maybe it's more pleasure than happiness, but I always feel good after thinking like, oh, this huge sundae or milkshake made me happy but it's not, happiness doesn't arrive spontaneously. When you said earlier about that your younger self would not have listened to you on certain things. Imagine like we fantasize about this kind of like this fantasy meetup between your younger self and your older self. And imagine that you are actually 14 or 15-year-old, and suddenly there's an apparition. There's a vision, and this older person, and this is you coming to like deliver wisdom, and you're like, oh no, she's old, like she's not fun anymore. Like, what's this wisdom? Like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Imagine, like.
That's exactly how I would have reacted. And there's lessons I had to learn I guess the hard way.
Yeah.
And the thing is this thing, like sometimes you do certain things and you lose certain things. And when you lose certain things, or when you're in a bad position, that's when you understand what you actually really want. Like I heard this thing, I think I heard it in a film, and it stuck with me. But it's this thing of like, it's a bit of a it was delivered as a bit of a sexist joke. But I don't think it just applies to women. I think it applies to everyone. It's just someone was talking about trying to decide trying to work out what the girlfriend wants to have for lunch and whatever. I apply this to everyone. If someone doesn't know what they want, they're stuck in between two things. You take a coin, flip, like tell them heads is one option A, tails is option B. Flip the coin, keep the thing, turn the coin and then reveal it. You tell them what it is. It's like tails, so it's option A.
Yeah. And
literally that first reaction, like if they're like, that will tell you wanted option B.
Yeah.
Because most people will be like, well, they'll have that micro reaction. And they're like, okay, fine, let's do option A. And they'll do the thing they don't want to do. But that
the guts.
What they want. And I think in life, like those moments happen when certain things don't go your way, or certain things that you didn't expect happen. And then you realize, oh, I'm not quite happy about this. Why am I not happy about this thing I was working hard for? Don't ignore that moment.
Yeah.
Unpick that moment, understand what it is that you're not happy with, understand what it is you wanted. Then you know yourself better and you know how to get what it is you want. And like I said in the film, it was as a sexist joke of how to get how to know what your girlfriend wants for dinner, whatever. But I think it applies to men, women, and to human beings. Like we often do things that we don't want to do. And our bodies, our instincts, our reactions will tell us, but we ignore those things. And it's like just listen to those things. It's
the gut feeling has more wisdom than we credit it for.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's dope. Thank you, Eric. Do you want to add anything? It's such an open-ended question. It should be more specific.
Sweet. All right. Cool. We've done it now. We've done pretty good.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground. Well, thank you so much, Eric. I can't wait to see the first time I never met you and all the great projects, that you're involved in and like how they come out, all of that. Very excited to follow your journey. So to give some context, Eric and we've never met in person, but we've been following each other for a while because we are, on the very similar journeys. When Eric did his crowdfunding campaign in February for his film, I reached out, to do my own and kind of like followed in his footsteps. And here I am now doing my own for Coming in Hot. That's live on Kickstarter. It's live for another 2 weeks. So if you want to contribute, I invite you to. If you want to share on social media, I invite you to as well. And lots of love, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Go support Coming in Hot.
Coming in Hot. Like, you are literally coming
support. Help the film get made.
Let's get it funded. Let's get it made. Even if you don't have any industry connection, you can do it. I think everybody can have a supportive community. If you're a loving person, if you're a passionate person, People want that in their life, and also like a good learning in this journey is like there are a lot of people that want you to win more than you think.
Yeah.
Cool.
Win.
In this journey is like
Oh.
they are.
All right. Oh, I don't know what happened then.
I don't know.
Oh.
Me
Yeah. All right. It's been real.
Yeah.
All the best with the rest of the campaign. You've got this. You can do this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this turned out.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric. Have a good one.
I was going to say have a good evening, but it's morning for you. It's evening for me, but morning for you.
What's the time difference? We have like 10 or 11 hours?
I think. Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you. So for me, it's almost noon in LA. So thank you so much for joining from literally the other side of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, the magic of the internet.
Woo! Yeah. Have a good one. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
And broadcast.